Museums should be conducted so that they will become as necessary as a fire department or public library. Vaudeville shows, the Metropolitan Opera, museum visits, the Ringling Brothers Circus. From an early age, Leslie Cheek Jr. was introduced to a variety of artistic disciplines. Leslie's mother, Mabel, with support from her husband, Leslie Cheek Sr., co-founder of Maxwell House Coffee, arranged family tours from their home in Nashville to Europe, the Far East, and Indochina by the time young Leslie was 17. Mabel, who kept detailed scrapbooks of their family activities, wrote that Leslie is our little son who loved the beautiful and artistic. At Duncan School in Nashville, Leslie stood at the top of his classes. His skill at drawing suggested a career in engineering or architecture. His academically strong record had him accepted at Harvard in the fall of 1927. And while his father encouraged business studies, Leslie's discovery of the Fogg Art Museum on campus brought him to the realization that the fine arts were his real passion. This new focus brought Leslie in contact with the man responsible for shaping a generation of America's art museum directors, renowned art history professor Paul Sachs. In college, Cheek was active in theater by designing and building elaborate stages, creating posters and programs, and designing art for the Harvard Lampoon. Cheek graduated Phi Beta Kappa in 1931. Leslie Cheek went on to study architecture at Yale, again finding time to be active in the drama department, designing elaborate sets, costumes, and event decorations. He graduated in 1935, in the midst of the Great Depression, with limited prospects to employ his skills at designing and building. Cheek decided to travel the South, painting watercolors that he could submit to an architectural firm to help him land a job. During his travels on one summer morning in 1935, he began a sketch of the newly rebuilt Capitol building in colonial Williamsburg. By chance, he met James L. Coger, the curator of colonial Williamsburg and a history professor at William and Mary. Coger, who was due to travel to England for one college semester in his role as curator, recommended that Cheek teach an 18th century social history course in his absence. William and Mary President John Stuart Bryant, drawn to the confident, determined Leslie Cheek, did just that. Cheek's teaching success emboldened him to suggest that the college should establish a Department of Fine Arts, an idea President Bryant endorsed. Tolliver Hall became the home of the college's Department of Fine Arts, headed by 28-year-old Leslie Cheek Jr. Thanks to his passion and design talent, both theater and fine arts at William and Mary quickly became world-class. He organized the first show of Frank Lloyd Wright's Art in the South and persuaded Wright to come to campus. American painter Georgia O'Keeffe, who had lived in Williamsburg in the early 1900s, was persuaded by Cheek to return and attend the opening of an exhibition of her works. Later, one of O'Keeffe's paintings was donated to the college by the Rockefellers. It remains one of the treasures and the cornerstone of the Muscarelle Museum of Art. Cheek quickly gained recognition for his success at William and Mary. He was approached by the president of the Baltimore Museum of Art and offered the position of director, which he accepted. Cheek is quoted as saying, "Too many people leave art museums discouraged. A museum just seems to give a person who isn't acquainted with art an inferiority complex." He wanted to make the museum an approachable place of fun and learning for all. One example of Cheek's innovation as director of the Baltimore Museum of Art was the exhibit Art Begins at Home. The display entrance was, literally, a maze. Upon entering the exhibition, visitors were confronted by cubicles, each with 2 everyday objects. For example, 2 clocks. Their challenge? Choose the one that was better designed. Each choice directed the visitor further in the maze. Correct choices led you to the exit. Incorrect ones placed you in a cul-de-sac with an explanation of why the item was poorly designed. Some people got lost in the maze and had to be guided out. Needless to say, the exhibit made quite a lasting impression. Just 2 years later came the attack on Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941. Leslie was determined to enter the military. He found his place with the Army Corps of Engineers. Major Cheek's design talent and commitment to education were put to good use. He redesigned Army camouflage to be more effective and taught classes in camouflage techniques. To keep students interested, he occasionally slipped in photos of popular pinup model Chillie Williams. His lecture was titled, "Conceal or Reveal." After the war ended, Cheek accepted the position of directorship at the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts in Richmond. He described his work this way: "We use all the gambits we can to get the people to come in, with the hope that the museum will make people's lives more beautiful." From the beginning, Leslie Cheek was determined to make the museum serve all Virginians. He was impressed of the success of recently introduced bookmobiles, which took books to rural areas from city libraries. This inspired the idea of a mobile display vehicle for art. The first Artmobile took to Virginia's roads in 1953. 5 years later, John Walker, then the director of the National Gallery of Art, wrote, "In the whole field of museum education, the Artmobile seems to be the most significant development in the last 20 years." The Virginia Museum of Fine Arts became the setting for Cheek's vision of integrated arts. A theater was built, attached to the museum. New lighting techniques were instituted, and audio guides were added to provide additional meaning to each exhibit. Cheek also invited prominent politicians and artists to the museum and organized shows from all over the world. Cheek had truly transformed the museum into one of the most respected in the country. After Cheek's retirement in 1968, he continued to support the arts community, including contributions to the Building Fund for the Muscarelle Museum of Art and the endowment of the Cheek Medal, a national award for outstanding presentation of the arts. John Cannaday, former art history professor at the University of Virginia and New York Times art critic, described Cheek's impact this way: "The definition of the function of art, which is to enlarge, clarify, or intensify our experience, does not preclude the primary fact that art is a pleasure, a most profound pleasure. To have opened that pleasure to so many people, as Leslie Cheek has done, must surely be a profound pleasure."